Hey, welcome back to the podcast. We're back on this relationship theories topic. I'm driving down the freeway, headed back to LA from the mountains. From the mountains in LA, headed back to LA. I don't really know if the mountains are technically in San Bernardino or not. I was over in Wrightwood. I think it's technically in LA County, right? But anyways, coming down from snowboarding, driving on the 605, trying to get as far through traffic as possible. I'm about to hit the lunch hour. Thinking about stopping at Jersey Mike's before I actually get home. Yeah, I'm wiped. I'm tired. I'm wiped. But good. So I recorded this episode about, relationships as it pertains to people being kind of on the flaky side sometimes, or just how people cancel. I'm not talking about cancel culture type canceling, which I almost wish that phrase meant the same thing that cancel culture meant, people who flake, because I feel like that would be like a cool term to use. Like, I don't really know what the term is, but basically people flaking everywhere, anywhere from, well, I don't know if ghosting is really in the same exact category. I don't know if I want to go as far as to make that like combined in this episode, but it's not too far off. So what I mean by flaking is pretty much when you scheduled with somebody and they cancel, but it's not just like once. I mean, I think, everybody cancels sometimes, eventually, especially the more you see people, the more opportunities, for plans to get canceled, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say, I never cancel on people. A big one I can remember was probably sometime in summer where I'd had tickets to an event. It was a Pride Night baseball game in San Diego. And I guess I just wasn't aware that oh my goodness. There was a Pride Night, and basically I was trying to, I got tickets in advance with some friends. They weren't super expensive, maybe $40 or something, to watch the Padres. And I'd never been to a Padres game. I really wanted to go, but it wasn't like, oh, I need to do this. But when I bought the tickets, I didn't know I was going to move out of town, because a lot of times we get things in advance, like far in advance. So I got the tickets. Gave my friend the money to get the tickets or whatever the coordination process was. And, the night before the game, I was in LA already. I was no longer in San Diego. And, we'd purchased these tickets months in advance. And I totally forgot. And I was busy doing something else. I don't remember what I was helping family with, or I had other stuff I had to do in LA. And, I'd completely forgotten about this game. And it was like in the middle of the week too. So it's not like I could just come down and just be like, oh shoot, I'll just book a trip to come down, cause I had to work the next day, and I was tired from work. So I didn't want to drive that night after work and just suddenly come down to San Diego and just to, work from the hotel and then have to go after work to a baseball game, and then I probably wouldn't have been able to check out until a third day, like it would have been like the whole thing just to attend this one baseball game that I just wanted to hang out with my friends. Like, I didn't really care about the game or whatever. Like, I don't hate baseball, but it's like I don't love it that much. But the tickets, $40 for live sports for me is like cheap enough especially if I get to go with a crew of people I want to be with. That would have been worth it for me. But I don't know if I would consider that flaking. I mean, I forgot and, wasn't available to do it anymore. And I'm glad they said something the day before, and they were pretty kind, just like, hope things are okay or whatever. And, do you want me to sell the ticket kind of thing? And I was like, just give it to somebody. Like, at this point, I don't really care. But they were pretty understanding with it. It wasn't really like a big problem. But I mean, that's the only thing I remember canceling since like summer. And even before that, I don't even remember canceling too many plans. Like, I remember, I think there was a brunch we were trying to coordinate with like a group of like 10 or 15 of us. And I think there was a day where I was like, either this day or that day. And then I think I had to change the day or something, but it ended up working out. It's like some people couldn't go because of it, but it was kind of like, everyone was, in a way, it felt like almost everyone was working around my schedule because I was coming from LA. So I was also grateful, but also I was like, dang, like the other friends I did want to actually see them. So I felt kind of bad, but it was like, well, I can't go. Like, I'm not going to go down to San Diego, drive back up to LA, and then 2 days later drive back down to San Diego, stay for 2 days, and drive back up to LA. Like, it was something like that where it was like, it made more sense for me to do the plans back to back. And, I've canceled with, I don't know, that was pretty recently. That was like a month ago or something. And then I've canceled with like, I feel like there was something else I canceled. I think like Christmas, I had like tentative plans. I never bought the tickets, but my family was not answering about what the plans were for the holidays. And so I told my friend in Vegas, I was like, my mom wants to go to Vegas, so I might actually be in Vegas for Christmas. And we were saying that pretty much the whole time up until like maybe a week before Christmas. And so I kind of felt like bad, but also I'd never booked the trip, and it's like trying to plan with other people who never really go anywhere or do anything like that. Like, some of my family members don't really go to Vegas or do anything like that. So I was kind of like, well, it's probably not going to happen. And that's why I kept saying, I was like, well, it's probably not going to happen. Plus, it's holidays, and I didn't want to deal with or pay for holiday travel. So I was like, well, if my parents aren't going to foot the bill, because I don't really want to go to Vegas for Christmas. I was just going to go if, like, I'm not going to make my mom go to Vegas by herself and, like, spend Christmas by herself. So I was like, if it was just going to be me and my mom, we were going to do Vegas, but we just didn't know what our plans looked like, really. That was the issue. But yeah, I was kind of like a little on the end of feeling surprised there. Because I wasn't, like, basically I was surprised because I wasn't sure how do I say this? I just wasn't too sure, like, what we were actually going to be doing. So I wouldn't necessarily call stuff like that, like, flaky. I try not to be flaky. I mean, I do plan stuff in advance, and I try not to. I mean, emergencies come up, like, what if you have, like, some weird bank fraud situation and you can't, like, afford it because you don't have your card, or, like, you lose your ID and you can't go somewhere, or, your car has issues, or, like, those kind of things happen, or, like, or you're just not having a good day all of a sudden, and it's just like, damn, like I just really am not in a good enough mood to really be hanging out all of a sudden. But I feel like, I don't know, like that's not like common for me. I feel like usually I prioritize trying to hang with people, and so it's hard for me to really understand, like, why do people cancel, right? Why do people flake? And I've talked about this with multiple friends multiple times, and we're just like, what the heck? And it's almost at a point where it's like, whenever we schedule stuff, we're like, all right, I got this date scheduled, let's see if it happens. All right, I got this plan scheduled, like going out to a bar with some friends, let's see if it's gonna happen, you know? And like, we almost like joke, like we get annoyed by it, but we almost like joke, like kind of like, oh God, like I knew that wasn't going to work out, or like the process of people canceling and things like that. We kind of joke about it. And it's sometimes it's kind of funny, and then other times it's just like, seriously. So the first question I had initially was, why do people do that? Like, because like the amount of time I spend socializing, which is way less now, but when I was in San Diego, it was like multiple times a week I was going out. So I would notice patterns, not even with the same exact person, but I'd notice, it was like a cultural pattern that I noticed that I just couldn't put a finger on. And I've been like, why the heck, you know, can't people just follow through with their dang plans? Like, is it that hard? You know, it's like, you know, like some people, I've even learned that like when they say something, I don't even believe that we're even going to do it. Like, I have a friend that, you know, we've been trying to do some kind of outdoor events, you know, some other stuff that, you know, they plan, you know, or that they say that they want to plan and do. And I've just realized, I'm like, dude, I rarely ever even see this person. And I put the ball in their court. I'm just like, dude, like, you figure it out. You know where I'm at. If you want to hang out, just check that day or for the next day and see if I'm available. And let's just plan it on the fly like that. Because I'm not going to be doing all this, like, booking stuff and buying stuff and, like, getting a room and all this other kind of stuff. And then it's like, you're not even going to do it. Like, I'm not going to go that far. Like, I've canceled, I've avoided, not canceled, but avoided making other plans with people for this person, because I was like, all right, well, we haven't seen each other in a while, and you want to do this thing, so let's go do it. And then, you know, they just wouldn't, you know, the follow through just wasn't there. And it took me a while to kind of catch on that, like, this person just is not reliable in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to say that we're not friends, but it's just, I find it rude and disrespectful. But, you know, also, I'm not the only one who deals with this kind of behavior from this person. So it's like, that's just kind of how they are. And it's like, sometimes you got to just take people as they are. Like, even if I don't like it, it's like, well, there's a toss-up between, like, do I want to just write this person off and be like, you clearly don't care about my time or energy or efforts, and just be like, you know, hurt over it and be like, fuck it, like, I'm just not gonna talk anymore because I'm upset about this thing? Or are there other options? And that's kind of where I've come to lately, is other options. So that first question about, so I guess the main questions would be how to, like, where does it come from? The second question is, what do I do to deal with it? That kind of has been working for me lately, even though it's not 100%, like, I'm never going to get upset even like the smallest bit. I'm not saying it doesn't affect me when people cancel or whatever. But I'll put it this way. Canceling and flaking are two different things to me. So I don't know, I guess definition wise, and I might change my mind a little bit on this, but as I'm thinking about it at the moment, there are some people that, like, usually when we're talking and they're like, let's see, I don't know, let's see. Like, it's a maybe, and it's like a hard maybe for like a really long time. Like, there are some people that I don't really mind doing that, because I'm like, their hard maybe is like they really want to do this, but, you know, a lot of us right now are transitioning in all these different parts of our lives with like schooling or studying or moving and all this kind of stuff, and working and everything, job changes, and a lot of just different life events kind of changing. It's hard for me to get tickets to something and schedule 3 months out and just be like, oh, like, I'm gonna go do this or whatever. Like, sometimes it's not easy to do, and it is getting harder and harder to do that, and it is harder and harder for people to afford even the pre-sale, if it's $250 or something, and then like, say for example, the concert I just went to, I got pre-sale tickets sometime in 2022, I think. Before the end of the year, I had pre-sale tickets already for like 250, 230 something bucks, whereas the tickets for one day became like over $200. So it's kind of like it's steep even when it's cheapest and at the best rate, and then it's steep even once you go buy it, you're almost getting ripped off. It's kind of like, like, I understand why people are like, okay, like, it was hard for me to afford the $250 for the 2-day weekend ticket, but then I waited till the last minute and tried to get tickets last minute and ended up paying over $200 for one day anyways, and just feeling like, oh, maybe I need that refund and can't really go. Like, that's pretty steep for one day when your other friends paid like way less. And $250 for one weekend is a lot of money. Like, it's not like it's cheap. Like, a lot of things that a lot of us love doing are not cheap events. So I understand it's not convenient. Like, I've noticed more and more, instead of going out to the weekend bars and weekend clubs like 2-3 times a week, I'm more like, okay, what can I do once or twice a month? Just something bigger, like go snowboarding for like 3 or 4 days, or go down to San Diego for 3 or 4 days while there's a concert and have some hangout plans and all this other stuff, versus like every single weekend or like 2-3 times a week going out doing little bitty stuff. So that helps me to be able to afford more. But there's definitely other dynamics. Like, I don't even want to pretend like, oh, like, people should be able to like easily keep their plans, because it's not easy as it is. But it's just so confusing to me, because it's something that a lot of us, especially the single people, a lot of us are noticing. It's really hard to kind of meet new people, even if it's not for like romantic reasons. It's really difficult to just like meet somebody right now, meet new people, socialize with new people, just because of the like restraints, financial, time, energy. Like, I get it. Like, and I feel that too. Like, I'm like, damn, like, I dished out a lot for these tickets, or like, damn, like, this costs a lot. Like, I spent a lot of money, and like, I'm not just trying to like waste money, but it's like, I can't sit in the house all day long. Like, that's not how I like to live. Like, I work hard, and I like to play hard too, so that's how I like to live. But it's just a little like, I feel like it doesn't need to be as complicated as people seem to make it. Like, sometimes I'm like, is it really that hard to like make plans, especially if it's something that you really want to do, right? So with the first question about why people do it, a friend of mine sent me this video with these two women talking. There were, and I just want to say, like, I recorded this episode that I'm talking about right now. I recorded it before. I recorded it on Wednesday when I was on my way up to the mountains, and I realized maybe I don't know if I was like freshly upset by something, or I was freshly upset definitely by some other situation. I don't know if I was freshly upset related to this, but I feel like the energy I put into it was pretty like venting kind of. It wasn't really like informative or like thought-provoking, so I was like, I'm not even gonna post that one, because it was really just me just being like frustrated with a lot of things on Wednesday, and that has changed. I feel a lot different right now, but yeah, it was hard. It was hard to kind of get through part of a process of trying to figure out like why the heck these things happen this way. Anyways, so the video that my friend sent me had these two Caucasian ladies speaking. One of them is, I believe she's American from Seattle or something like that, and was talking. The American one from Seattle, she is like familiar with Russian culture, and they were kind of comparing, socializing in Russian culture versus in American culture, socializing, travel, meeting people, getting to know people, that kind of thing. And they came up with some good points, and one point that was kind of like related to this topic was, they were talking about, the difference between Americans when they make plans with somebody versus in Russia, culturally, when somebody's making plans with somebody. Like, how does that look? Like, how does it differ between the cultures? And so I was like, cool. Like, I was glad my friend sent the video, and I trust his opinion about videos and stuff. And I was like, cool, this is like right up my alley, because like, of course, it's something that has been on my mind. And we start, I start watching the video, and they get to the part where they start talking, saying the American tries to explain that in American culture, her experiences with her making plans, her personal experiences with making plans with somebody and then she canceled, was basically because she feels bad to say no. Part of me is like, you don't owe anybody, right? Like, I don't owe anybody an explanation. I don't owe anybody the truth or whatever, like, if you want to lie to somebody, you have every right to lie to somebody, right? To me, I find that disrespectful, even though nobody owes me anything, right? If I newly meet somebody at a bar or something, they don't owe me anything. But I can't tell you how many times I've met a person at a bar where we're vibing, it's good. They say they're the ones who reach out and say they want to meet again. They're the ones who are like, oh, it would be cool if we could get together, or, like something that's commonly, I'll talk more about my experiences after I explain this actually, but, so yeah, she was saying that she gets angry. Sorry. Fuck. Sorry. My, map is like talking to me and I can't focus. Okay, keep right, I know. She basically was saying that she feels bad. And earlier in that conversation, she was saying there were topics that were brought up about how Americans, maybe, are overly polite when you first meet them. Like, just language-wise and just culturally, Americans tend to kind of be overly polite. Like, they gave an example that, like, in the Russian language that the other lady speaks, she was saying, like, the translation into English of, like, say if you're ordering something at a restaurant and talking to a waiter, and the direct translation into English, the phrase would be like, give it to me. Like, you want to order this, whatever, and it's like, give it to me. Versus like something really direct like that. Versus like, in English, you would never just be like, give it to me. Like, to the waiter, you would be like, oh, may I please have this? And thank you. There's the please, the thank you. Like, you're usually polite. The language is very just like you're almost like not walking on eggshells, but you're really trying hard to be polite often. And a lot of times we're even taught that as kids, say please, say thank you, like be respectful, like all these different types of social rules, right? That are kind of unspoken. Once you're an adult, it's kind of unspoken. But people tell me I'm direct, and I think I can be. I think I get pretty passionate about things I'm saying, or just I don't really focus on the tone that I'm using when I'm talking, and but I don't usually feel like mad when I'm doing it, or I'm not like upset. I just do it because I'm just trying to get my point across. Like, and I feel like people know where they stand with me. Like, I'm usually just like, if I don't want to do something, I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. Like, I'm not gonna like give you the runaround, you know, and make it seem like I want to go and do all this, like do the absolute most to make you feel like I really am invested in this when I'm not. But usually it's like, if I want to do something else, I'll be like, let's just do something else. Like, I'm not trying to like do maybe this other event that I don't really care about. I don't want to go, but it's like maybe this other event I do want to go to. And so maybe we can coordinate something else. And I don't mind that kind of communication, but I do think it's a little weird when people just flat out lie about stuff. And so she was saying that she basically fibs about, you know, if someone's interacting with her and they say, hey, let's do this next week, or let's meet up next Friday, or whatever, and she doesn't want to do it, she doesn't say, oh no, I don't want to, or like, you know, she doesn't even say that. She just says yes. Or at least in the example she was giving, she was saying that like she's had experiences where she's just said yes, that she wanted to do something, and there was this kind of like idea of wanting to avoid confrontation. And it's like, okay, like I get that, but it's also like, you don't have to explain yourself to anybody, you know. I'm pretty good at not explaining myself to anybody. Like, I pretty much just, you know, like, I don't feel like I owe anybody an answer, you know. Like when I go out on dates or something, like, I'll, you know, if my friends are like, hey, let's go do this, or like, you want to meet up tonight and do that, or you should come over, and I'm just like, I'm busy, you know. And even if they'll be like, oh, what are you doing? Like, you know, what are you going to be doing at midnight? Like, you know, and I'll just be like, I'm busy, you know. Like, I don't tell people what I'm doing if I don't want to. Like, I don't feel like I have to say more than I'm busy, you know. Busy can mean I'm sitting in my room playing video games by myself, staring at the wall, smoking weed. I mean, like, why should that have to be anybody's business, you know? Like, I don't feel obligated. If I would rather do that, I'll just stay home and do that. But I'd rather not purposely lie to somebody and be like, I do want to make it, I do want to be there, when I really don't want to make it and I don't want to be there, and I have no intention of actually showing up from the time that I'm saying yes, and I know that I don't want to go, and I know that I'm not going to do it, versus like, let me test this out. This isn't really, I think it's different when it's like, this isn't really something I'm familiar with. Like, for example, I mean, this never happened, but say if I had a friend who wanted to go watch UFC or something like that. Like, I mean, I love UFC, actually. I'd love to go see UFC. But say if they were like, let's get these tickets to UFC, this UFC match, but the only issue is I won't be there for like the first hour, but you'll have to get there early to like save our seats, and I've never been, you know, and it's never something that I've gone out of my way to want to go for an hour by myself to just sit there and watch, you know, with the risk of course, people might just be like, oh, sorry, I can't make it, you know, like, because that's what I would think. It's like, okay, if you're already too busy to make it on time, then maybe we shouldn't go to that match, you know, like maybe we should pick one where you can fully be there, the person who's familiar with the event. But, you know, I don't know, like, I can't imagine myself just saying, yeah, I want to do this, when I don't want to do it. Like, in my head, I'm like, I like to tell people what I actually like and don't like so that people know, you know. And that's another thing that I notice makes it hard for me with planning with people, is because sometimes there's a lack of follow through, and then it's like they keep saying that they want to go, they keep saying that they're interested in this, but their actions show otherwise. It's like, snowboarding is a perfect example. Karaoke is a perfect example. Going to Vegas is a perfect example. Like, concerts, a perfect example. Those are things that I would say I do, that I often invite others to do. And some people are like, okay, let me know when you go, because they really do want to go, but just their schedules may be too crammed. And then other people, I'm just like, I'm not going to tell you every time I go up anymore because you never even seem like you want to do it, you know? So, it's hard to really know, where to draw the line because people aren't honest about their, preferences with things. So it's like, if you tell me you're really into something, I'm going to try to include you if it's something that I want to spend time doing with that other person. You know, it's like, if I want to spend time with you doing this thing, then I'm going to try to include you if you said you want to do it. And I do have friends who have made that blatantly clear to me that, like, if you are doing this, let me know. Even if I can't do it, just please let me know. Or even if I'm not going to be available, let's just take the chance. And please, I'd rather have you let me know. And I'm like, thank you. Like, at least with that, it's like, thank God. Like, at least I have some direction to go on. But some other times I'm just like, dude, like, I don't know. Like, people can just, I mean, sometimes things seem like a good idea to them maybe in their mind, but they really have no intention. And then also maybe in my mind, I never fully catch on early. I'm just barely starting to catch on to this kind of stuff that, like, I don't really fully, I don't want to say I don't fully trust. I did get to a little point where I was like, I don't really fully trust when people say that they want to do something that they're actually going to do it. I don't really fully trust it. But like, I'd be like, I don't really fully trust that situation, you know, because of people being so flaky. But like, I don't really trust it's gonna happen. But I don't know. I guess a lot of people do that. They say that they want to do something that they don't really want to do, and then they kind of lead on the situation feeling like they don't want the confrontation, or they don't want to have somebody feel bad that they get rejected. And it's like, you're not trying to take like an ego trip or whatever. I feel like it's worse to say that you want to do something that you don't want to do, and especially ghost somebody after that or cancel on the last minute. You know, it's like, if you're not sure, just say maybe. If it's really a not sure thing, just say maybe, and then I'll get back to you tomorrow, and then say no then, if that's what it has to come to. If you really don't want to say it to somebody's face, I'd rather somebody just say that. But for the second question, what I've been kind of dealing with, how I've been kind of dealing with it more, is I only buy tickets to stuff that I want to do. So if everyone else bails, I'm still doing what I want to do, even if I'm just by myself. And that's kind of what it's come to. I kind of just get tickets to stuff that I like. You know, if I'm going to Vegas and I'm visiting my friend in Vegas, and I'm going to a concert in Vegas and nobody else is coming with me, that's just how it's going to be. You know, like, if I'm going snowboarding and, you know, other people want to come up, they know where I'm at, they know which hotel I stay at, they know which resort I go to, they know how to reach me. You got my number. If you're available, I've given, I think everyone that I usually would snowboard with, I gave them a whole list of dates from, I don't remember if it was November to April, or like January to April, of the weekends where I think I'm possibly going to go up. So I'm like, if you happen to be available on any of these weekends and you want to go up, or any of these weekdays and you want to go up, I'm probably going to try and hit the slopes those days. And there's one tentative date that I have in mind, and then maybe Mammoth in April, but that's like a hard maybe. Because Mammoth I'm not going to do by myself, because I've never been, and it's far, and you can't just like fly up there and then drive like 30 minutes from the airport. Like, it's far from the airport, it's far from everything. So I'm not going to go all the way to Mammoth from LA when I can just snowboard in LA. Like, it's just like, or in San Bernardino, LA, whatever county it actually is, but it's 2 hours away versus like 6 hours or whatever. Like, I'd rather just do the local. Like, I'm not like so good at snowboarding that it's like that I need that, but I feel kind of like, I don't know, like, I'm trying to enjoy, you know, I try to enjoy my free time. I love spending time with my friends. I'm not trying to sound like I'm not trying to sound like a jerk. Like, I'm not trying to sound like an ass, and like I don't like my friends, or like I don't like, the people that I'm with. I actually love them, and I like to see them, and I like to be around them, which is why it can be a little bit disappointing with people who I've already had those established relationships with, if there's a lot of canceling. But I do understand that people are going to cancel, it's going to happen. But when it comes to be like every single time, to a point where I just can't even trust that we're even going to do what we said we were going to do, or that it's not going to unfold the way it's supposed to unfold, like, that's one method I've had to use, is basically just only scheduling stuff that I want to do. If there's something that somebody wants to go to that's going to cost me a little bit of money, and I only like maybe partly want to do it and don't really want to do it, if there's a risk that other people are going to be flaking about it, then I'm just not going to buy tickets for it. Like, that's just how it's got to be. I can't think of that many things because I'm pretty like good to go with almost every activity. But say if it was like, I don't know, something random that I don't really do. I mean, I can't even say the ballet, because I think I'd go to the ballet by myself, even though I've never been. I would totally like, I love live performances and, dance and all that kind of stuff. I'd love to go, but it's like, that would be something like, okay, if it's like $400 and somebody wants to go to this ballet performance, and I'm like, I don't even know anything about this, I was just going to like hang out with this person or whatever. Like, I don't really do that. I'm not really doing that kind of stuff anymore for other people, because that was kind of one thing where it was like, not only do I not really want to do this, but I'm doing it for you, and you're the one who's flaking. And so when that happens, it kind of feels a little different, where it's like, hey, I'm giving you my time and my energy, and you don't really seem to really appreciate it. I mean, I've got free time, but I'm not that free. Like, I am busy, actually. And like I said, nobody owes anybody anything. Like, the people who like to ghost people, you don't owe anybody an explanation if you don't want to talk to them anymore. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe anybody responses if they're calling you or messaging you or emailing you or whatever. If they're in your DMs, you don't owe anybody anything. Like, you don't owe it to anyone. And I do understand that, but I think, I do value good communication, and I don't think it's good communication to just outright, state that there's something you want to do when you clearly don't want to do it. Like, I don't really see that as like showing good communication skills, even if you don't owe it to anybody. And I'm not even talking about like toxic relationships where it's like you're just trying to like exit and not have to deal with somebody. Like, that is a whole different ballgame. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about, just how communication is when it comes to planning with people. And for someone like myself, or even my other friends, who are some of the single ones, who were out there trying to like find people a little bit sometimes, trying to go on dates, trying to meet some new faces, trying to have some new experiences with some new relationships, anywhere ranging from like casual to like kind of like more routine meeting and stuff, whatever it may be, it can be really hard to meet people, because it's like, for me, I like to know, I try to learn what people like so that I know how I can interact. It's like, if I know that you hate metal, like, most of my friends hate metal. Like, I don't know that many, like, I do have quite a few friends that do love metal music, but most of my friends don't. And so usually I know if I'm going to a metal concert, I'm not inviting all these people, because I know they don't want to go. They don't even care, even a little bit, even the slightest amount. Like, they could not care less, even if it was free, they wouldn't want to do it. They're very particular about certain stuff that they love to do, and I'm very particular about stuff that I love to do too. So, yeah, they don't want to go. And I get it. I'm like, cool, I understand that you don't really want to do this, but, yeah, I don't really know what to say to somebody. When they kind of pretend like they like stuff. Like, I'm not going to get mad if somebody doesn't like metal, but if you don't tell me that you don't like it, I'm going to keep inviting you, you know, or like, I might not get the hint, you know, like, I'm one of those people that does have a bit of a hard time taking a hint, you know, and I almost overly took a hint last time because I was trying to, I maybe overthought it because, you know, I have a close friend that wanted to know, you know, when I was local. And because I hadn't heard from them in a while, I was just like, well, maybe this just means that they just don't. Because I told them when I was going to be in town, but I guess they didn't, like, check the message yet or anything. And because I didn't tell them more details or follow up a second time, because I'm trying not to follow up a second time anymore. It's like, dude, you know where I am. Like, because I have to book my trips. I'm not just, like, going to San Diego. Like, I book it, like, at least 3 days in advance, and I'll usually tell people, usually a couple weeks, like, I know the next time I'm going to be down in San Diego, and I'll be there for 4 days, and I have plans at least for probably 3 of those days at least right now. I already have plans, and so I'm kind of like, you know, a lot of people know my schedule, and I've asked somebody, you know, what's your schedule like, and another person, I think we're meeting Sunday. Someone else we're meeting Monday. I have plans on Saturday. I'm just trying to figure out my Friday right now, and I'm kind of like, okay, like, what's up, you know? Like, but yeah, I kind of really do enjoy, you know, seeing my friends, catching up with my friends. You know, I try to make time for them and stuff, and you know, but it's you know, it's a little challenging, you know, because it's hard to really read what to expect. But now that I know from certain people, I'm trying to learn certain people's schedules a little better too. So like, there's one person that, like, I kind of know their schedule more, that they're available more on Sundays. There's another person who I know that if I'm in town, they want to know when I'm in town. And things like that I didn't know, because I was like, I just stopped communicating about it because I got confused, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell to do with people. Like, it's like I told you I was in town, I didn't hear a response. Like, all right, like, or I told you I was coming to town, didn't hear a response. So I just assume you don't want to do anything, you know, because that's usually how it goes. Is the person usually just is like, oh, you know, sorry, I can't make it, or they just don't respond, and then they wait till I leave, and then I'm all the way back up in LA, which is another thing where I'm like, well, that is a little weird when I've already gotten all the way back up to LA, and people are like, hey, let's hang. It's like, dude, I left like 6 hours ago. Like, I told you I was leaving at 11. Like, you know, it's like, I'm gone, you know, like, I'm not coming all the way back down there again, like today, you know, like, gotta wait till I come back. But I would love for it to be more flexible, and I know there was time when I lived in San Diego when it was easy to kind of just, like, by the seat of your pants, just be like making plans just on the fly and just be like, all right, well, let's meet in, like, are you awake or whatever, let's meet for dinner, like, tonight, you know. It's like, all of a sudden, let's do this, like, tonight, you know, like, without having to plan, like, weeks or days in advance. And it was just like, yo, I'm here, like, what's up, are you free, you know, you want to go out, like, who wants to go out, kind of thing. Like, and it was easier because we were, like, everyone I know in San Diego lives, like, closer than 30 minutes. Like, I feel like everyone lives within a 15-minute radius, maybe 20, 25 minutes if you're being generous with, like, traffic, parking, all that kind of stuff. But everybody I know lives within pretty much 15 minutes, give or take. So it's really easy to plan. It's not like LA where it's like, I know a lot of people in LA, but everyone lives so dang far. Even my closest friends that live like 3 miles away, it takes more than 15 minutes to get to them sometimes. I have a friend that I have 2 friends who live really close. One of them, it takes about 20 minutes to get to their house. The other one, maybe about 20 minutes for that person too. And they live super close. And then everyone else lives over 30 minutes away. No, I'd say I have three friend groups that live within about 15 minutes. But also it's hard for me to like see two of them because we're not like fully caught up like that, and like socially we're a little different. But we go way back. Like I've known these people since we were like children, like pre-puberty, like these cars do all sorts of weird stuff. Alright. But yeah, that's kind of my experience lately. I don't really know how I feel lately. Like, you know, like I've just been doing a lot of stuff and I love it. I'm trying to love it and enjoy it, but really that kind of helped me kind of protect myself a little bit, in all honesty, just to get tickets to stuff that I want. Because then if people cancel, then it's like, well, if I'm hiking, I'm going hiking by myself. Like, okay, like I'm going to do this by myself. Like, you know, it's stuff that like I can just do by myself, and I don't really mind doing it by myself, even though maybe I really wanted to spend time with the other people doing that event. It's like, it's not gonna like, you know, it's not gonna be like that bad for me, you know. So I don't know, like it's just something I'm kind of learning. I'm not saying I'm perfect with it either. I think I can get obnoxious, but you know, sometimes it is just, you know, learning people, like learning kind of like their preferences and what they like and what they don't like, and trying to kind of figure out like that kind of thing. Trying to be open to new situations, open to new people. It can be challenging, but I would encourage people, you know, if they can, you know, to really be honest. Because, I mean, it's hard to meet new people as it is. And if people are trying to get to know you better, I mean, it's going to be hard for people to get to know you better when you're not honest about your preferences for things, or your availability for things, or your energy levels for things. Like, some people I know, you know, their energy might be all over the place. And so when they cancel, it's like, okay, I get it. Like, maybe you had every intention of showing up, but you just, you know, today just wasn't it all of a sudden, you know, and I get that, you know, I can be the same way. And it's like, I get that, you know, like, but if I don't know that about somebody, not that they owe me that information, but if I don't know that, then I'm going to take it as like, this person's flaky, you know, versus like, oh, maybe they've got something else going on. I mean, but again, you know, people don't have to share that with me. It's not required of somebody to share with me their personal, you know, information like that about their emotions, or if they're struggling with things or whatever. They don't owe me that. But I don't know, guys. It's kind of, it doesn't have to be stressful. I mean, hanging out is supposed to be fun, right? It's supposed to be a good time. It's not supposed to be just like drama and like everybody just like nobody knows what's going on, and then people like losing trust in each other, and people like not wanting to hang out anymore because it gets too complicated. Like, it doesn't have to be like that. Like, it doesn't have to be so extreme. But for me, it really was getting to that point, because I was like, dude, like, some people are so hard to plan with. And I mean, I love seeing my queer friends, my queer community, but sometimes too, it's like, I do want to do other stuff that's not just like gay bars, you know? Like, I love gay bars, don't get me wrong, I'll go every day of the week, but it's like, sometimes I'm like, okay, like, can we like branch out and do like a little bit more than just like go out and drink? And especially that's what's been affecting me ever since, you know, drinking isn't as easy for me anymore. Like, I can't just like easily drink like I used to. Like, it's fun, but it's not as fun. Like, it used to be more fun, and now I feel like it's less fun. So I don't really know, but yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be that bad, you know. It's not like, it really doesn't have to be that bad. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I guess, you know, sometimes it, like, I don't know. I like my relationships to be like, and everybody changes, you know, so, you know, I don't super hold people to stuff, but it's like, you know, some of my friends, I know what they like to do, you know, like, maybe we're gonna go to eat some Korean food with this person, or maybe we're gonna go do this instead. Like, it's hard to like plan to do things that people prefer to do if they're not telling you what they want to do, if they're not honest about it. And maybe people just don't know themselves or don't really care what other people think, and just like they just take the easiest road of just like, let me fib about this thing so I don't have to deal with it anymore. Like, I really don't know. I really just don't know what it is that makes people kind of like that. Because I, you know, value clarity and, you know, honesty, and just kind of, I like knowing where people stand with stuff, you know, so that I know how to interact with them. I feel like that's the best way to get to know somebody. Like, and I think there is a little bit of give and take. Like, every now and then we all do things that we don't really want to do sometimes, just because, like, I can't tell you how many, like, maybe, I don't know, first dates, but how many times I've met up with somebody for the first time where they wanted to do something where I was like, I don't really care to do that, but it was like, I'm not really gonna make too big of a deal out of it because it's not really a big thing. I think, I don't remember, actually. I don't even want to say because I don't remember if that's true. And then, yeah, I was gonna say earlier about an experience that I had, a different experience where, you know, I really thought, you know, I met this lady at a bar. This was like ages ago, and, you know, I don't know how to explain it. Basically, she was there on an online date with somebody. That person ended up kind of no-showing on her, she thought. And then it turned out like me, her, and the guy like next to us kind of like bonded, because it looked like the person, you know, who showed up wasn't the person on that app or whatever. And so, or like whatever, like the picture looked way different. She felt a little duped by it, and so she was upset. So me, her, you know, she was waiting for her date. I don't know why I was there with these two people, talking to them. I didn't know who they were, but I guess maybe I was there with friends earlier, and then they had to go do something else, and I was like enjoying the conversation with these two, so I stayed. I think that's what happened, is that I was there with somebody else, and then they left, and I was like, well, I just want to stay and talk to them because I was having fun with them. And we kind of were talking, and we kind of were like, you know, trying to talk, trying to, you know, get to know each other. And, you know, we had a whole night where we stayed at this bar. That's what it was. I was with a friend and her two friends, somebody I had been dating, and their coworkers or something. And then they left because we were there earlier for brunch, but then that lady joined, and then this other guy joined, and we're just like chilling. He was playing video games, and I was just like talking to her, and her date didn't go too well, and we were just, me, him, and her were kind of like, oh, it sucks when that happens. And, you know, she didn't say she liked me or whatever, but she was kind of like, oh, like, you know, like, do you come here a lot, kind of thing. And like, she was like, we should meet up, we should like do something. So we like exchanged numbers, because it's like, we had already talked. We've been talking for like 3 or 4 hours. Like, so I was like, you know, and she had just had like a weird date experience. So I'm like, I know she's looking and she's single, you know, and, you know, I kind of explained why I was there. She knew that I knew some people that were there before. And we kind of vibed. So I was like, I wasn't like into her, like I want to date, but I was like, I definitely want to hang out and have drinks every now and then and just talk, because it was a good, like, anytime you can talk to someone for like 4 hours or something that you just met that day, I mean, that's fun for me. I'm like, this is nice. And so I'm pretty sure she was the one who was like, we should meet again. And we exchanged numbers, and it wasn't like even a romantic thing. It was like, yeah, it was fun hanging out, and like, since we both come to the same place often, let's meet. And so I used to go there almost every weekend. So I remember, or even like 2-3 times a week. So I remember almost every time I went for like the next like multiple, I want to say 2 months maybe, I kept hitting this lady up, and I was just like, yo, I'm gonna be over at that bar again. Like, you want to meet? Are you busy? Or like, I'm going to be there tomorrow, or like whatever. And then one time she even said, it's not that I don't want to meet, and sorry that I keep not planning. It's just that, you know, I have this other stuff going on with my family or whatever. And like, you know, it was like some sudden thing that started happening after I initially met her. And so I'm understanding. I wasn't going to be like, oh, F you. But, trying to figure out, like, so basically, sorry, I had to stop the recording for a second, but, yeah, I don't know, maybe this is my own thing, but I try not to be in my ego too much with people and situations. Like, I know it probably sounds like I am, because I'm always, like, venting about stuff, but it's like, I try not to be in my ego with situations, with people. When it comes to planning, when it comes to whatever, I try not to be like too, like, oh, like, too like, I don't know how to say it. I try not to be too, like, say for example, you know, she said there's something going on with my family, you know. I try not to be like, oh, like, screw her, like, whatever, you know. I try not to be like planning like that, like planning out of a mindset where I'm like, screw this person, they really aren't trying to like understand me, or like blah blah blah, like F that, you know. I try not to be like that, you know what I mean? I try to take people at face value, that what they're saying is the honest truth, you know. And so for me, okay, so when I look, I wouldn't say I analyze, maybe I do, but I look at a situation and I try to look at the whole situation, and I'm like, okay, first off, me and this lady had a great conversation for multiple hours, and we vibed really good. She vibed with my friends, I vibed with her, me and her kind of made like a new homie while we were there. We all vibed good, right? Together. We were all talking, hanging out, had a good enough experience that, you know, if you want to at least try to see this person another time randomly, and convenient enough where it's like, she says she goes to that bar quite often, and I used to go quite often, and so it's like, what are the chances that we're gonna go to the same place again? Just naturally, we're gonna probably end up here on the same day anyways, so just let me know, you know what I mean? Like, we're not dating, we're just talking. Like, we already talked for like half of an afternoon one day anyways. Like, to me, it's like, there was already a good vibe. She's already clearly out trying to meet people. She's on a dating app. I'm already willing to just hang around a gay bar patio and just meet random people, because that's how me and her met, you know. And then she's the one who said we should hang out again, or wanted to hang out again, and, you know, just grab drinks when it's convenient. She's the one who, you know, tried to exchange numbers, and of course I was like, cool, because we had a good time. Like, why would I not say yes to any of that, right? It's like, why would I not want to meet somebody local who comes to the same place I come to all the time and just get to know them and be friendly, you know? To me, it's like, why not? Why not? Like, we already know we at least can talk, you know? And, you know, if somebody says, the two things that she said was that she's had a lot going on, which I understand. And then the other thing that she said was, this is what threw me off, because she was like, it's not that I don't want to hang out. I really do want to meet. So please don't take my canceling or my lack of scheduling to mean that I don't want to meet. And so I took that like, okay, she really still wants to meet then, you know? Because she said she does. She literally tried to make it clear that she still wants to meet. And then eventually I just stopped contacting her. Like, I wasn't like obsessing over her or whatever, but at this time I was definitely meeting new people, trying to meet people that, you know, it was on any level, just conveniences or whatever. And, you know, just trying to meet people that way. But I feel like that to me is kind of like, where do you start to realize that they mean no, that they're never gonna actually hang out, you know? It's like I don't think she was really baiting the whole thing, because we met before, like we had already met and spent like a lot of time talking and with other people, and we had drinks and we were having fun, like, and I didn't really talk to her too much in between. I wasn't like checking in like, oh, how's that thing with work, or how's your day, or whatever. I wasn't like, because I thought we were gonna hang out like pretty soon after. But then once I realized we're not gonna freaking ever see each other again, I was like, all right, like it is what it is. Like, she doesn't owe me that. But I'm also kind of like, okay, you are the one who led this whole thing on, you know? Like, she led the whole thing on, right? In my opinion, I'm like, she led the whole thing on. Like, she could have said, hey, I might be too busy to meet, you know, because I got a lot of stuff going on. Because I knew she had a lot of stuff going on, but it's like, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not gonna find like 30 minutes to like grab a drink, or an hour to grab a drink real quick, you know? Like, but then again, it's like, yeah, she doesn't owe it to me. She doesn't owe it to me at all. But at the same time, it's like, damn, you know? Like, when things like that happen, even when I'm like, okay, well, thanks for the good communication of expressing what's going on and like what's going on and like why there's kind of like this lack of follow through, because she didn't owe me that explanation either, but why there's that lack of follow through, and then to go out of her way to say it's not that I don't want to meet. It's like, well, if you want to meet, then meet. You know what I mean? It's like, if you really want to meet, you're going to prioritize it eventually. If you really want to do something, you're eventually going to prioritize doing it, right? And so for me, I don't really understand why people I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't know a better way to try to understand it. It's just so confusing for me. I just don't know. I don't even know what to say. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what to say about this. I don't know what to do about this. I'm not trying to make it dramatic, but it's like, even when somebody tries to say something to express like a better communication and then they don't follow through, to me it's just confusing, because I'm like, why go through all that effort to be like, I'm trying to communicate with you so that you don't just like drop, like on her end, like it felt like she's trying to communicate with me so that I don't just stop trying to like plan. And it wasn't any like in depth like, oh, she loves my attention. Like, I wasn't like talking to her or doing kind of anything like that. I wasn't like checking in with her or anything. I was just trying to like hang out, you know, but I don't know, like, and that's not the first time I've experienced something like that. It's just really weird. It's super confusing. I don't understand it. I don't really think there's a real answer. You can't really super like do anything about it. Again, I really don't think people owe me. I'm really not like upset like to that level, but it is a little bit like confusing when it is kind of like a consistent thing that happens that people don't seem to follow through. even when they're trying to make it good communication, sometimes it's like I don't even know what to do with that. So I just got home. I gotta unpack my stuff and then eat. But that's it for this episode of this relationship series. I'll still be recording more, and thanks for listening.